I was contacted by this company a couple weeks ago about trying out a fermentation kit. Now, I don't know how to pronounce the name, but it's AIEVE. And they actually saw my channel and they thought that this kit might fit in good with some of the stuff that I do, seeing how I make sauerkraut and stuff. So they shipped it out to me at no charge to me, and this is kind of my first use of it. And I've really wanted to get into this fermenting for quite some time now, and this really has been a great great push to get me going. And as you can see here, it came with a little vacuum pump. There's a sauerkraut pounder, and then there are 6 of these airlock lids made for wide mouth mason jars. And they got this neat little thing on them where you can set the date so you don't forget exactly what date you started the fermentation. So that's really cool. And everything here really does look well made. And, it's really a nice kit to get started with. Then they told me I could look over their actual Amazon store and pick out another item if there was anything else that I thought I'd like. So I told my wife to take a look through there, and she found this little clip-on thing for her mixer. Now the KitchenAid mixer comes with this shield that's got this little angle thing that kind of drops the stuff on the edge of the bowl there and it sticks, and she really hates it and never uses it. And she saw this and she was really excited. It clips on the side of the bowl like that, and it's a real light duty thing. It's not heavy duty or anything. If you push on it you could probably break it, but if you look at it, it actually drops everything about 1.5 inches, 2 inches into the bowl there, right about where the beaters will pick it up. So she really thought this thing was a really great idea and wanted to try it. So I'll be showing you that and some other videos about her making bread and stuff in the future. So this is another item that they sent me, and looks like that's going to be real handy also. So I went out and I bought some more half-gallon jugs. I figure I might as well start with half gallons if I'm going to do it. And these lids really, they fit any wide mouth jar, supposedly. So, they do look like they're going to work. So let's go down in the garden and start picking some stuff. And you can see that, everything's kind of getting near the end of the season. And all the sunflowers, all these big sunflowers are wilting down and dying off now. And actually, they're about the size of a dinner plate, the flowers on them. And I'm trying to save some of the seeds right now. And my one Big Mac pumpkin there is probably about 50 pounds, not getting any bigger. But anyhow, I had planted a lot of pole beans in the middle of the garden there. Just usually they feed the Japanese beetles and it keeps them away from other things. But this year we had no Japanese beetles, so there were a ton of beans ready to be picked. So I went out and I grabbed some beans. I'm going to try fermenting some of them. And then I still have a ton of peppers in the garden. I figured that I just kind of pick a really nice mix of peppers, and these are mini bells and habanadas and Jimmy Nardellos and some Avararskis and some of the Natapinos. And then I've got some carrots that I've kind of neglected the whole season, and I never really thinned them properly, so there's quite a mix in different sized carrots in the 2 bins there. So I'm just going to grab some carrots to do another jar to start out with. So everything's fresh picked, and it's going to head right into the fermenting jars in a couple minutes here. So now I'm going to get up here and start by cleaning the carrots. I rinsed them off with the hose outside first, and now I'm just going to cut all the yuck off them. And then I've got that cucumber scrubber thing there that I'm going to go over and scrub them good, because I don't want to peel them for this. I'm just going to slice them up with the skin on them, because I figured that'll add a lot of vitamins and flavor to them. And that little cucumber cleaner really does help get those little hairs off of them, the little root hairs that grow on them and stuff. So, you can get them really good and clean. Now, carrots are one thing that I found online that you can ferment, and basically it looks like any vegetable can be fermented. And so I got the carrots cleaned up, and it's time to clean up those new jars that I got. And the same as with anything, even if they're new, there's still the possibility there's oils and stuff like that in them. So it always pays to wash them good. And I'm going to start snapping off some of the tips of the beans, and some of them you can see they've got strings in them. They're really too old to use for fermenting, but I'll I'll pick out the younger ones. I'll show you later, and the older ones will just eat for dinner. So I got the beans pretty much cleaned up, washed up, ready to go, and now I'm going to start slicing the carrots, and I'm just cutting them into little sticks here. Is basically what I saw online people do. Just slice them into a couple pieces there, and then I'm just going to take them and stuff as many as I can into the half-gallon jug there. So it takes a while to go through and get everything chopped up here. And then I'm just going to throw them in the jars like that. And this is something I've really wanted to do for several years now, but I never really, knew what was required, or, really got the chance to look into what it would take to get going. And I guess I was really lucky that this company did send me out this kit, because it got my butt in gear and really got me started on it. And it looks like it's going to be something that, I'll be doing from now on. So then for the brine, I just... everything I found online just basically said for carrots and beans and stuff like that to just use 2 tablespoons of salt per quart of water. Now, some of the things there were you have to get into, like using a cheese weigh and stuff like that, but I'm just doing basics here, so I'm just going to use the salt water brine. Some sites said to heat it up as you dissolve it. Some said just leave it cold. So I just left it cold, and I guess the one thing they say is don't use city water. Make sure that you like we have non-chlorinated water here, so that'll work good. And I also did tuck in a couple of pieces of dill, if you saw. I like the flavor of dill with my carrots, so I figured I'd grab a couple flowers of the dill seeds and just stuff them in there and see what it does for the flavor. So there's the first jar here, and that first quart of brine didn't quite fill it up. So I'm just gonna, just keep mixing up the same thing, a quart of water and 2 tablespoons worth of salt. And just let that dissolve for a couple minutes there, and then just pour it in and top it off. So I got that maybe about 2 inches down there. And then my mail lady just came just in time with these little glass weights. This company does not have the weights yet. They will have them in the future. They said no. They'll send me out some when they get them. But as of now, they don't have them. So I ordered some on Amazon, and I had them shipped Prime, and they just came in time. And these were the cheapest ones that they had on Amazon. So, and I'm not sure what it matters. It would have been nice to have some finger grips on them, but I just picked these up, and I'll put a link to them down below too. But you put the weight on there, and it just kind of keeps everything submerged. And then you have to put the top on, and I fiddle with it a couple times till I figured out how to do it right and get it started right. And then once you do, just tighten right down there nice. And then there's little sliders on there that you set the month and the day, so you don't forget what day you start it, which I think is a really great idea. Because I always forget everything, and I'll write it down, but then I'll lose the paper I write it on. So next I'm going to do the beans, and I decided to go down and get some more dill flowers and stick them in there. And I took some of our garlic that I had picked a while back, and I'm throwing a couple cloves of that in there too. And now I'm just going to go through and pick out the smaller, tender-looking beans for this, this bean fermentation. And the bigger ones we're going to eat for dinner tonight, so they won't go to waste. So again, I'm just filling the jar up and trying to kind of stuff them down as I go and get as many as I can in the jar there. And then I'm going to throw some more dill in there and see if I can come up with like a fermented dilly bean, because we always can the dilly beans and we've never tried fermenting them, and this is really a great experiment, I think. So I got them in there. I'm going to throw a couple more cloves of garlic on top, and same brine. This is what was left over from, filling up, topping off the carrots. And, same thing. I didn't have enough to quite fill it up, so I just fill it up to there, and I'm going to make up another batch now to continue to get it up to maybe about 1.5 inches, 2 inches from the top there. So just salt and water, that's all it takes for these couple of veggies. And just try to push them down there, and I'm going to fill it up. And I can't wait for the fresh cabbage to come in because, you know, I'm going to try making my sauerkraut in these jars this year too, so I don't have to go through and can it, which everybody, you know, keeps telling me don't can it. But so then drop the weight on there, and you have to make sure everything stays submerged, from what I understand. Otherwise, it can get moldy and stuff. But now I'm getting pretty good at putting these lids on. They go on nice once you know, figure out how to thread start on them right and set the day on them. So the first 2 jars ready to go, and there's my dinner tonight. And then I got a nice mixture of peppers. I got some of the Jimmy Nardello pimientos there, and some of the habanadas, and some of the natapinos, and some of the Decuno Italian, the thick wall ones, and some of the Averosky, and I got one of those, 2 of those actually, chocolate peppers, and oh, they taste so good. Kind of like a Tootsie Roll. No, not really, but they really do have a unique flavor. So I'm just going to mix them all up in, you know, in this bottle here, and see exactly what happens after a couple days. And again, I'm using that grapefruit spoon to get the seeds out. That's the easiest thing. So I'm just gonna, you know, go through and just fill up the jar and shove in as many as I can there. And I'm using the same brine here also. So first batch of brine didn't quite make it, so I'm just gonna mix up another one. So for today, I'm just going to be doing 3 jars full to get going with this, and you know, I have to pick up some more like cabbages. I want to try red cabbage and stuff like that. So this is just the beginning, and you know, I figured I'd just make a video of another video once these are ready to eat, and you know, just see how they came out. So I'm going to drop that glass on there, and that one's all set to go now. And again, set the date on it. So I put them over in the corner where they won't get any sun, and I put them in a big plastic tray just in case they cook over like some of my fermenting does. And you know, they're there. And then I went back once I had everything all settled in, and I took that vacuum pump and I just pulled any extra air out that was left in the jar there. So it created kind of a vacuum on it for them to get going there. And those airlocks are supposed to actually bleed off as the fermentation goes on. So the little pump does have a real nice vacuum on it and stuff. And I have to tell you, it does work with the those food saver lid sealers too. But here they are 3 days later, and you can see they're really starting to ferment now. And I have to tell you, I stole a couple peppers out of that jar because I had to straighten the weight out. Oh my God, they are just amazing. So I can't wait for them to get a little more fermented. So, you know, basically this is my first use of this kit, and it just was, you know, it was really great to have a company send me this to get me going in this, because I've really wanted to do it for a while now. And all the parts seem to be high quality and stuff, so I'll put some links down in the description there to, you know, where you can find them. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.